Anyway, we're going to pivot on and talk about a bit of Super Rugby.
The Super Rugby at the weekend was
and loads of weekends. It's been a mad comp this year in the sense that it's just you're feeling there's a lot more. I feel like there's the gulf in class between a lot of the middle clubs is not as defined as it has been between conferences.
Yeah. And so even some of the Kiwi teams have kind of slipped back into 100%. That pack as well. So
what you're seeing is just a load of. I think you're seeing the effects that fatigue has in a competition like this because there's so much travel involved that some weeks you're just jet lagged and off, and I think you're seeing a load of that. Like you had the Taz beat the Crusaders in a sensational performance and then lose to the Sunwolves, who are themselves a good team but caught them napping, and it's just it's one of the limits of the competition when you just have so much travel.
Yeah, I'm sure the Jags put 50 on the Sharks in.
I think it's in its last legs. I have to say, the Super Rugby. I think the travel is just it's too big a hurdle to overcome, and I think you're not getting a real read, and you haven't been for years, on where clubs are at because it's just too big of a problem. There's got to be a better way to do it. They used to have it so that you're almost like touring a place in certain weeks, but like there's still an element to that. But you are just seeing teams go to Australia, Singapore, New Zealand and South Africa in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean,
you can't do that. Yeah.
Well, no, one of those weeks you're going to be just way off.
Yeah.
And I think like South Africa definitely are feeling the temptation of Europe, and I think like obviously the Sunwolves have been cut, and since then they've been class. Like I think you might start to see a more sort of constricted domestic calendar over there, where Australian and New Zealand and some Pacific Islands have a league, and South Africa go and join up with Europe, which kind of leaves Argentina out in a limb.
It does. Yeah, the Jaguares, after their 50-point showing, Orlando hat-tricks and such.
Just beating some Uruguayan clubs.
Yeah.
Having their own domestic league that they can pump money into, but whose money?
I don't know where it's coming from. No, it's a good point on that. Like just the picture of some of the South African conferences are mad in terms of just the points accrued. When you've watched, like I'm watching all these games, and I have various recollections of all these teams getting shellacked at various points, and then you're going like, every South
African team has been just ridiculously humiliatingly hammered, and all could still qualify. And the Jags even included in that bunch. The Sharks were the team of what happened to at the weekend for not the first time this season, but they still pull off some great performances. But at that home tame, hammered by the Jags, and just
50 points at home. Jags is a crazy result.
It's not the sound of a winning team.
No.
And listen, the Jags were awesome. There
was a lot of Argentinian flowiness on show. Lots of techers, lots of cute pickups. Chip and chase try from, who was it, number 6?
Pablo Matera
getting through, having like 60 yards to cover, do a little deft chip over the top.
And listen,
great stuff.
The great thing about Argentina in general, the Pumas and the Jags, is that as much as they can be stalled and terrible, and when they do, and you've seen it before, get a head of steam up, and they just get a feel for your defence, and it's a little bit broken and tired, they will just keep scoring tries. Like they can rack up serious points in not very much time. And I've seen them do it loads of times. Like that game against Australia, where they just racked up a ridiculous score, and Australia came back and beat them. But like they just get into flows where they just have a read on your defence, and they just keep attacking, and they just seem to get incited and emboldened by it. And you saw that with their flowy attacking and ripping the Sharks apart, and the Sharks were just not up for it. But even the fact that they were at home, I think you're just seeing the physical effects, that the physical toll that this competition takes on the players is just something else, and it leads to a lot of results
passive,
like these
tame losses and head scratching ones, because it's just so hard then to get a read on the comp when you're like you tune out for a couple of weeks and you're going like, wait, what? How did that happen? Last time I watched them play, and they were doing something something along those lines. With the exception of the Crusaders, who, with the exception of one Waratahs for the game, have just been keeping every opponent at arm's length and looking comfortably a more competent team than them. And that was the same at the weekend. They were playing against the Highlanders, and with the exception of one very optimistic Ben Smith try early on, it was just like cruise control.
Well, they were leading at half time, the Highlanders, but
they were.
This Haters just upped another level.
And it's like they're very tough when they fracture the line, they have so many support runners. They look excellent in terms of converting those line breaks. Just the Crusaders look very efficient in how they're doing it. Everyone seems to understand their role, and they just seem to have a process that they can trust, because it's been 2 seasons now of just unmitigated success. So they're just going through the same things, adding little bits here and there, and showing themselves to be much the better side in most of their
it's a proper real franchise that's like it's there's a lot more stability going on there. They do get the odd extra guys in. They get guys feeders from sort of the minor 10 club, and they do have the odd trade, but for the most part
they tend to do well though, because they slot in
but
take their
chance. It's very much settled. It's a settled outfit, and they have a settled plan and a settled structure, and they just like a machine, like clockwork, and they just keep rattling off wins. And to be honest, there's no other comparable side in the comp in terms of rivaling them.
No, sure. Like whenever they're playing against Barrett's Hurricanes or something, it's always bigged up as a potential thing. But what ends up happening is that the Hurricanes can get nothing.
And it used to be Dave Rennie's Chiefs who were in a similar situation. They were such a flowy, great team that they could occasionally put it up to the Satyrs, but the Satyrs were just, as a professional entity, they're just light years ahead of where everyone else are, and that just looks set to continue.
It does really. I can't see where their rivals are coming from. Like in years gone by, it was the Lions, but that seemed
weren't a real rival.
No,
either.
It wasn't. It was just a quirk of scheduling that had the Lions basically.
No, it was
getting a bye into the
either
final.
the old school Chiefs and then the Hurricanes, and the Chiefs did win back-to-back Super Rugby comps in the Todd Blackadder years.
Yes,
but since he's gone, it's been plain sailing for the Crusaders, and that just looks set to continue. There is it's a World Cup year, so it definitely puts a spin on things where it's on a lot of players' minds, I think, and definitely they're de-emphasized, I think, a little bit, the Super Rugby franchises. But there's still a lot of positives. The Chiefs Blues game is a real
what a game.
Yeah, but that's what this competition can be, and why it's so valuable. And
New Zealand derbies are still New Zealand derbies, and
and they would be with or without Super Rugby.
Yes, they would
have fantastic New Zealand derbies. Exactly.
Yeah. But for too many years, it's been the last few years with the Australian kind of woes. There was all of that talk of just like the gulf in class between the New Zealand Conference and the rest of the tournament is stark and ridiculous. Less true this year, which is that in itself is a bit more of a positive.
Although
for the
Chiefs and the Blues are finding some serious.
They are. It was a slow start. Felt like a hangover of some kind, but they have.
And they were not together as an outfit. They had DMAC at 10. They didn't really know what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Where did DMAC out now? Yeah,
we'll get to that, Jim.
We will. Yeah, but they have his brother is at 10 now.
Yeah, Marty
McKenzie. Yeah, and he's looking great. Yeah. It's been a bit more. It just looks improved. Like wasting your DMAC at 10 is a silly thing to be doing anyway. As we were alluding to in Lions tours gone by, but the Chiefs being back in flow is a good thing for the comp. Obviously, they put up a great game against the Blues, and Blues had like little moments like Nonu, 2 tries.
Yeah.
Smashy tries. He's like rolling back the years.
Not enough, but he looks like a man who's
gunning for a World Cup,
gunning for the All Blacks. And he's going to be hard to ignore if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
It's true.
He's all class. He's all class. And
just because the All Blacks, in the context of that game, Anton Leonard-Brown had to set up a try early on by bumping someone off and getting through, and then the Nonu try that by riposte bumped him into his 7, knocked them both over like Skittles, and then over he goes, and it's like Nonu, don't sleep on Nonu.
Don't sleep on Nonu. He's just a smart man as well, who can throw a pass, and like a lot more to him even than just the bump offs.
He's shed that extra few kgs that he picked up in France, same as everyone who goes to France.
Like old school man Nonu. That's a beautiful thing. So that's exciting for sure, and that was a very good game, and credit the Chiefs for doing it. And the only other thing from last weekend I mentioned is that the Stormers got their routine win on tour against the top of the conference Rebels. The Stormers are always good for a win on tour, and then some non-wins as well.
Yeah. But shout out to Quade Cooper. What a horrendous play for one of those tries. His defence in the backfield leaves an awful lot to be desired. Does Quade?
Yeah.
Considering I'm looking at him from potential World Cup permutations now, because you probably have to have him in there.
100%.
If you're a Kiwi coach and you're looking at starting Foley or an Aussie coach Checa, and you're looking to have Foley and Beale and the boys,
exactly, and you don't know what they're going to do now at fullback and beyond. It'd probably be Jack Maddox at fullback, but I think like if Quaid's not starting, fair enough, but he has to be on the bench.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, Bernard Foley is no superstar.
He's not. No.
He's had his hot periods and his cold periods, but his even keeled period is not particularly great rugby.
He reminds me of George Ford.
Oh, okay.
He does.
Yeah.
He plays in a similar kind of way as well, where it's like if it's flowy and go forward in the wing, he can string things together, but also he's not the guy who's going to drag you out of it if it's going particularly badly.
Yep. So ahead of this week, the conferences, the Rebels have taken a bit of a stronghold. The big game that I would want to be watching this week, and I rarely say this in the game when you have Highlanders Blues, another chance for some beautiful Kiwi derby action. And you've also the intrigue of the Stormers against the Brumbies, which I think will be a fun game as well. And the Chiefs against the Lions in
craziness
in New Zealand,
yes,
which will be good.
The Lions having to go to the Chiefs,
and the Lions are bottom of that SAFA conference, although it's kind of meaningless because they're all so close. But I think the game of the weekend is the Waratahs against the Rebels in Sydney,
which has all those Quaid Foley dynamics.
It's got super huge dynamics for the comp, in the sense that if the Rebels win, they actually have quite a cushion at the top of the Aussie conference. If they lose, it's all game on again.
Yeah.
But it has massive connotations for the Wallabies, and like there's a lot of Wallaby hopefuls in both teams. A lot of fun matchups, and I think just from
considering how stretched they are, I'd expect to see Czechs in the crowd somewhere watching this one unfold, because it's very much, what am I doing to come this World Cup? Like, let's have a look, see who's doing what.
100%. I think it's got all the ingredients to be a very fun game.
Ripper.
And that's a ripper, or just an error-strewn madness fest
potentially.
But I think that's the game from a macro picture that you'd want to be watching this week. And that's Super Rugby right now. It's hotting up. It is.
It's getting into the business end of the season. Most teams have shrugged off their little kind of pre-season hangover that a lot of them did bring into the first few weeks.
We're 9 rounds in, and there's 18 rounds in the regular season.
So we're halfway through. So it's boiling over nicely. Obviously, our focus won't be on it for the next few weeks until Europe wraps up. But it always works out nicely in that when Europe wraps up its big games, that's when Super Rugby's just switching into proper kind of finals mode.
And we're not going to have a June series either, so it's all going to get wrapped up earlier. And then they'll pivot on to the Southern Hemisphere World Cup versus the Rugby Championship. So the season is laid out nicely, but for the time being, it's very much just regular season games going on in Super Rugby, and still, outside of the Satyrs and maybe the Canes, it's still very up in the air about who's going to do what. I think the Bulls are probably the SAFA team best placed from that herd to make a run of it in the playoff.
They play maybe, but they still, same as everyone else, they just have some shocking games, and it just makes you scratch your head and think, what? Because when you see them play well,
the thing is that all those middling teams are actually not too far away from each other in level, and it actually becomes a question of the little physical edge that you can be lacking as a result of any number of factors, mainly from travel being one of them, that ends up having a massive telling effect on how the games go.
And you see these players who are class softening out of contacts and thinking, what's going on here? So but that is Super Rugby.
Thanks for watching the Overlap Rugby podcast. If you want to subscribe, there should be a button up here. Don't forget to give us a like and share with your friends, and please leave comments down below. We love the conversation. Thanks.